twice and come back to the pitcher as black as the ace of spades. All the infielders were chewing tobacco or licorice and spitting into their gloves, and they'd give that ball a good going over before it ever got back to the pitcher. Believe me, that dark ball was hard to see coming out of the shadows of the stands. These are the words of Fred Snodgrass, who played center field for the New York Giants from 1908 to 1915 and witnessed among the most memorable moments of the era. Snodgrass recounts the 1914 National League pennant race when the Boston Braves' miracle team languished in last place on the 4th of July and had a chance to take over first place on Labor Day if they defeated the visiting Giants. The crowd that wanted to get into the ballpark on Boston that day was far greater than the seating capacity, so the Boston Braves borrowed Fenway Park from the Red Sox. They put rope in the outfield, and thousands of people were sitting and standing behind the ropes, right on the playing field. They were standing right behind my back in center field. We had a big inning about the 6th or 7th inning and scored 4 runs to go well ahead of Boston. I came up to bat after we'd scored all those runs, with nobody on base and 2 men out. George Tyler, who was pitching for the Braves, was pretty disgusted by then, and he took it out on me, aiming 4 shots straight at my head. I hit the dirt 4 times, and the 4th one hit the bottom on my cap. So on my way to first base, I went by way of the pitcher's box. I stood in front of that guy and called him everything I could think of. After the inning, Snodgrass returned to center field to deafening boos and thumbed his nose at the crowd in contempt. A volley of bottles followed, and Boston Mayor James Curley rushed from the stands demanding that umpire Bill Clem remove the disrespectful giant. After a heated argument lasting nearly 10 minutes, Clem ordered Curley off the field, and play resumed. I didn't play a very deep center field the rest of the game, Snodgrass stated. Dead baseballs, beanballs, fans on the playing field, unending melees, bottles cascading from the stands, and blatant dishonesty begin to tell the story of the wildest times in baseball history. 1. Deadball Era Highlights. 1. Big League Cheating. If a big leaguer doesn't like cutting the corners or playing with cheaters, then he's as much out of place as a missionary in Russia. Hall of Famer Rogers Hornsby. Major League ballplayers cheated openly and secretly, proudly and shamefully, at any point of any season in the Deadball Era. Dishonest acts alternately met with praise, blame, and indifference, depending on the consequences of the deed and motives of the perpetrator. But ill-defined parameters made it difficult to determine when someone had crossed the line from hard-nosed ballplayer to big-time crook. Cheating to gain an edge counted as smart baseball. Egregious violations brought widespread condemnation, while easing up in meaningless games concerned no one. Baseball culture floundered in a sea of ambiguity, where punishable acts surfaced as harmless indulgences or turned into attractive opportunities. The practice of cutting bases, which occurred in full view of everyone at the ballpark except the umpire, stood out as a most glaring offense. Detroit Tigers outfielder Wahoo Sam Crawford recalled when a single arbiter officiated games and provided daring base runners a shortcut home. Solitary umpires, who stood behind the catcher until a batter reached base and then moved behind the mound, could not follow both the path of a batted ball and the men on base. According to Crawford, if runners, say, were on first base and second base and the hitter smacked a line drive down the right field line, the umpire would be watching the ball and the batter rounding first and trying for second. Meanwhile, the guy who was on second would cut third base wide by 15 feet on his way home. Never came anywhere close to third base. We'd run with one eye on the ball and the other on the umpire. Spectators howled at the sight, but the lone umpire could do nothing without catching the runner in the act. The defense got its revenge when accidentally blocking, bumping, and tripping opponents as they circled the bases. Although a clear violation of the rules, the National League's Baltimore Orioles unabashedly embraced